Hey everybody. Alright, we are back. It's Becky at Live in the Dream Quilt Shop. Sorry I'm so close. We are going to do some free motion tips, tricks with your CM17 and your M8. Today I'm actually going to do a video later on YouTube that will be much more concise, but we have some customers that are having a few issues trying to get it together, and I just wanted to go over a few things. Say hey when you come in, let me know that the chats are working, and we'll get started. I know Dale from PA is going to be in here. You don't have to watch if you're on the, if you see that I'm live and you're used to my lives where we're selling material, you're fine. You can stay and watch, or you don't have to. I just want to go over some different things. And for those of you that already do a lot of free motion quilting, I am pretty new to free motion quilting. This is just stuff that I picked up along the way, and stuff we sell with our machines to get you used to free motion quilting. So I'm going to see if Dale is on here. And then we'll get started. And let's see. I think we've got one person on. And Dale, is that you? Say hey if you're on. Okay. So, you can always come back and watch it later and see what we're talking about. If you have any questions along the way, I can see the chats coming up, so I'll be able to answer you, I believe. I'm going to go on here and try to, there we go, Dale is here, okay. So now I know that the chat's working. Okay, so first thing, when you are free motion quilting, especially if you're brand new at it, the first thing they tell you to do is doodle. And there's a lot of different YouTube videos online, a lot of different books out there. Like we have this Skill Builder Companion that is $11. It's got a lot of different designs on it that kind of help you learn different things to do when you're free motion quilting. And I am going to switch this camera over and try to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here, and I saw a girl online the other day. She said to try to use lined at first and then go to just plain paper, but the line helps you keep things in line and keep your strokes of your pen, because that's going to mimic the movement of your hand. And she said to doodle a lot. That helps you form the memory of the strokes so you can do it by machine. And they always tell you to start out with letters. So like everybody knows the cursive L, unless you're just now going to school, and then the little E. So here is a very good one that people use to free motion quilt. And as you can see, my letters are not always the same, so I need a lot of practice with this. But it's a pretty good one, especially if you're doing borders or something, to do the L and the E. And the more you practice with it, they say the better you get. I also watched another video where she did a C, and she would do the curve of the C and come back. And then the curve of the C, and then come back. And the more you do this, and you always do the inner C first, and then come back, and you get a really nice design going out of this, and you can go any direction you want, so it works its way around. And even if you mess it up, it doesn't look half bad. So you just continue to do that lower C, and you can even go around, and you don't have to finish the C to get back to a place where you need to be. You can actually like go around this without doing the lower C, and then do another C here. And it makes a very nice design, and it's a very good beginner quilter's technique to use. So you can see that that's filling in, and if you're trying to fill in a quilt, that does a really nice job at filling in, especially if you're new and you're not used to doing this. So that's a really good technique to use. And see how it's like if we had the quilt here and we just started off with a corner, that would be a really nice way to go around and keep filling till we get to the edges. So that's one of the techniques they use. This is another technique they use. And you can find lots of videos on YouTube about these that will help you with your free motion skills. Now, next, I'm going to tell you a little bit about, I know some of the confusion that some people experience with their CM17 is there is so much on it. We have, oh, Dale, what is it called? You were just asking me about it today. The AccuFill. And the AccuFill, I've got a few things here. Let me turn this other camera back on. The AccuFill does designs like, here is one we did with the AccuFill in a class last month. It does the, it looks like free motion quilting, but it's actually kind of an embroidery design that the AccuFill will do for you on your quilt projects. And there are some very good videos on the AccuFill in the CM17 Academy. So that academy that you girls have the card for, it is a wonderful thing. There's Eve. Hey, Eve. I hope Georgia's drying up, honey. Now, this is just plain old free motion quilting. So this is some designs that I was doing with just free motion. And you can do that same kind of puzzle meander design with your free motion quilting. And then there's ruler work. And you can do ruler work with the free motion quilting. And then up here in this block, you see that we were doing the L's and the E's, kind of more of a big O. And then the leaves was another quilting design that is in the CM17 that is not free motion. So a lot of different ways to use the CM17, and it gets kind of confusing in your head. And here's another. This is one of the quilting designs that the CM17 does, and that does it in an embroidery hoop, as does this one that I showed you. This is done in an embroidery hoop with the AccuFill. And here is another one that we did with in the hoop embroidery. So I'm going to show you how to get to these places to use these different methods so you can do your quilting and practice with it. And that is the biggest thing. There's another one we did with the AccuFill. So one of the first things is the doodling. You want to do the doodling. One of the second things you need to know, do not be afraid to try and practice, practice, practice. And what you want to start out with, start out small. All of us have scraps. Unless we're brand new to quilting, we all have scraps. And you want to start out with something about this big. This is about the size of a placemat. And you want to start out with thread that you can see. So like if you picked a dark blue, you would want a white thread. You want to be able to see your stitches so you can see how your stitches are doing. We do have a regulator on the CM17, so you want to make sure that it's looking good, and it takes practice. Please don't think, even with a stitch regulator, that when you first begin, it is going to be perfect, because you have to learn to move the fabric slowly, or some people do it fast, but with an even speed. When you speed up and slow down, the machine tries to keep up with you, and sometimes it's jerky. So once you get the speed control down and you're doing a more even speed, that's when your regulator works the best. Now, let me see. I'm going to show you a couple things that work really well when you're quilting. So Janome puts out several things that really help, and you'll see more of this in a few minutes when I free motion quilt. But these are the quilt paddles, and they have these rubbery surfaces on the bottom. They're very easy to hold on to. You'll see when I start doing that, and it holds your fabric in place, so you can move your fabric evenly and it's not bunching up in between. So these are really nice, and we have some of these coming in very soon, hopefully along with all of Dale's stuff and Pepper's 2 feet. Then they have these quilting paddles that have the knobs on them, and it has the same rubbery surface underneath. I like these better than the paddles because I can hold my hand over the knobs, and you'll see that in a few minutes, and I can better control my fabric. So I really like these the best so far. We also have these hoops, and you get 2 hoops in the same package. They are very nice. They've got these on the bottom. They also have the holes where you can put the balls on them, so you can hold on to the balls, but you just spread this under your needle, and then you put this on, and you can touch anywhere and move your material around. So these are very, very nice for moving your material. You can hold on to it anywhere. I actually saw a woman quilting the other night on YouTube that was sitting at the end of her machine and quilting instead of at the front. So when you're free motion quilting, you can be at the back of your machine if you have the if you're using the pedal, I guess, or the side or the front. It doesn't matter, because you're just going in different directions, and you don't have to be at the front because you're not feeding straight through. So that's another tip. Okay, so I'm going to move back to this other camera and show you a few things about the free motion quilting. Is there any questions so far? Dale, do you have any questions on any of this? Okay, let's see. I'm going to have to move this out of the way. For the free motion quilting, you don't need your iPad. For the AccuFill, you need your computer, not your iPad. That's another confusing thing, but it works really well. Janome has a couple programs that go with your CM17 and your M8 that are on your computer, and a couple of them are apps that are on your iPad. So they're all very fun to use. They're all very effective, but just different ways because of the program that they are built with, whether you use your computer, and sometimes you need the disk drive, and sometimes you just need your iPad and the Bluetooth. So let me move that stuff out of the way, and I'm going to turn this around so you can see a little bit better. Let's see. Get this where you can see the screen. And get up nice and close where you can see what I'm doing. And if I need to move that around so you can see more, I will. I just want to get it close enough that you can see. Let's see. Okay. Alright, so I'm move this out of the way. I'll talk about those in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the home for a minute because I wanted to explain a few of these things to Dale. Okay, Dale, with the... Where did my notebook go? Searched for it for 2 hours and lost it. Yeah, let's see. Here it is. Okay, so... with the AccuSetter... Okay, so when you're doing the AccuSetter, Dale, which is you're putting the fabric in the hoop, you want to go to embroidery mode. And let me move this out of the way so it can move that arm. And we're going to go over here to designs. And see, here are these numbers. You're going to go over to 31. Right here. And that was, let's see, 12 or 13. No, we're back too far. Let's see. The quilting is number 27. That's couching. Let's see. Alright, come on. 20. Oh, I think it's 22. 22. Number 22 under embroidery has quilting designs. So these are all designs. I'm going to try to move this camera closer. These are all designs that you can use in the hoop and you can actually quilt on material with. And right there's the first 30, and then as I hit this arrow here over, if I can get my arrow to work, why isn't my, let me get my pen. There we go. There's actually 35 for the smaller hoop, and it tells you what hoop size up here. And then there's 5 for the, well, actually the smallest hoop, the 3 by 9 by 3 by 9. Then here's the 10.6 by 10.6. And you've got a lot of designs here for it. We're up to 50. And then it goes to the 5 by 5 by 7 by 9. It's hard to get this whole thing in here. And this one goes up to 35. So a lot of different designs in here that you can actually put on your quilt, but this is for quilting in the hoop. So when you want to do these, let's see, I'm going to pick this meander down here. And for those quilting embroidery designs, it tells you to use the P-foot, and it'll tell you what hoop to use for it. So that is how you do the embroidery designs for the quilting. The AccuFill, there is a great video on YouTube for the AccuFill that does very similar to this, but it does even more. So the AccuFill is like 10 classes put together. But it will tell you, and you'll use the P-foot for the AccuFill too. But the AccuFill videos do even more than what all of this will do. And it'll show you how to use the AccuFill on your CM17. Now, let me go back to, we're going to go back to the house. And we're going to go to ordinary sewing mode. And because it's going to move the hoop, I need to hit OK here. And I'm going to hit this other camera for a second. So down here, we have the embroidery module. And it's at the front of the machine. I want to move it to the back of the machine. Okay? So, let me switch back. I am going to hit these 3 lines right here. And when I hit those 3 lines, I get this this page up that talks about the Quilt Block Advisor, the manual dual feed settings, machine information, and then down here, these 2 buttons right here. It shows that being at the back and at the front. So I'm going to switch the camera back over, and I'm going to hit this button for the back. And it's going to ask me, tell me my carriage is going to move. I'm going to hit OK. Now, that is moving to the back of my machine to give me a wide bed space with nothing in my way. So that is a really nice feature of the CM17. And I'm going to put this right here because the next thing I'm going to do is hook up the ASR. Okay, now for the ASR, let me get this camera stabilized a little bit better here. And I'm going to come back over here. For the ASR, I went into, whoop, you can't see that good. I'm going to go into ordinary sew mode, and I'm going to hit these decorative stitches right here. And right here it says quilt and quilt style. I'm going to click on quilt, and let's see. Hang on, I might not have that right. I'm going to go into decorative. Decorative, not quilt style. See, this is what happens when I don't have my notebook. Let's see. Hang on. And this is why I like the videos on YouTube better, because they'll be edited before I do this. Let me try something. Oh, right here. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, so Dale, when you want to do free motion quilting, and all of you, when you want to do free motion quilting on your CM17, you're going to hit the sewing application mode. And then up here at the top, you have these three. You're going to hit the heart with the flowers on it. And that's going to give you a whole new row down here. So you have ruler work, and you have free motion quilting. So you hit on the free motion quilting in order to free motion. You can hit on the ruler work to do ruler work. When you hit on the free motion quilting, I'm going to scroll down a little bit now. You have these different stitches here. And you also have a few different things down here. But watch down here. I want you to see this. You have a needle that has a couple dots beside of it, and I have a needle with one dot beside of it, and that needle with the one dot is highlighted. I can click on that, and it will highlight the needle with the three dots. That means that your needle is just going to start sewing. It's not going to tie off. When you are, or not tie off, it's not going to let you have the bobbin first. When you're free motion quilting, you want to hit on that. So the blue needle is the one with the one dot. That's so you can pull your bobbin thread up. And right now it's telling me that we need foot PDH. I'm going to hit on straight stitch 3. When I hit on straight stitch 3, it tells me that we need the QC foot or the QO foot. And I'm about to go over these feet in just a second. But you can see that grayed out right here is an ASR. That's for your automated stitch regulator. So I'm going to switch over to this other camera, and we're going to talk more about that. Okay, so with your machine, with your CM17 and with your M8, you got this. This is your automated stitch regulator. And you will see on the bottom there is a clear film. That is the camera that watches what you're doing when you're moving your material under it. You don't ever want to use anything wet on that film. You can use dry batting or a dry cloth to clean it off, but make sure you're not using anything that might scratch it. Okay, so then if I turn it up this direction, you will see on the back of it there is a button. If you push this button in, that will loosen this foot up so you can just pull it out. And when you want to put a foot in, you simply push that button in, you slide this right up into the hole, let go, and then snap it up into place. Easy as that. It is very easy to change the feet on your free motion, your stitch regulator. So, let me take this off and go over the feet with you real quick. Okay, so this first foot, there are two that are kind of similar. Right here they are. They both have holes in them. They both look kind of like donuts. One is very thin and one is very thick. This is your regular closed toe free motion quilt foot. This one is your closed toe ruler work foot. And the reason you want it thicker when you have a ruler, you want this ruler to glide along this foot without going over it or under it. So when your foot is in place, that ruler is going to go along it and not let it go above or below it so that anything gets torn up. So that is why you have a thicker one for the ruler work. You'll also notice in your bag, you have an open toe foot. When you're doing regular free motion without a ruler, you really want to use this open toe foot. You can use any foot you're comfortable with, but this one gives you the ability to see your work if you're at the front of your machine, and you can see exactly where that needle's going and see if you're crossing over patterns or what's going on. So this is one of my favorites, and this is another favorite of mine. This is your Echo foot, and it's also clear so you can see all around it. But it has a 1/4 and 1/2 inch from your needle if your needle's at the direct center, and it also does zigzag free motion. So there was another setting right here. It is stitch number 6. We actually have 2. We have zigzag stitch 1 and zigzag stitch 2. So when you're using either one of these zigzag stitches for free motion, it'll tell you right here, let me see. It'll tell you right here in the corner that you need QV. And you can see that it's round. You can see that it looks just like this. So that'll tell you to put that foot on when you're doing zigzag free motion. And no, I have not tried zigzag free motion. Let's see. All right, so do I have any questions so far on any of that? I'll give you guys just a minute while I get this set back up in case you have any questions. A lot of the videos on YouTube and the CM17 Academy will help you greatly with your how long you want your stitches, your tension, what you want your tension at depending on the thickness of your quilts. They are very helpful for doing that with you. And I hope I haven't froze up. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you how to put the stitch regulator on. Set that there. Or as a matter of fact, I'll bring it back around so you can see me while I'm doing this. And you might be able to see, let's see. See if you can see the machine a little bit better from both angles. That'll be helpful. Okay. Alright, so there is one angle. And I'm going to try to get this down to do the other angle. Dale, you still with me? Let's see. Okay, so here is the side of the machine. I can't get this camera around back, but in the back, oh, I wanted to tell you about this too. So, you have the stitch regulator, and then you have an embroidery laser light. So this unit that plugs in the same way as your stitch regulator actually has a laser light in it. So when you're doing embroidery work and you want to make sure you get right back on point, or if you're doing the AccuFill, you can use the laser light in case it runs out of thread. There is another way, and we'll go over that when we do the AccuFill video. There is another way to get right back to the stitch you were on in your embroidery, but this will also pinpoint to make sure you're right back where you need to be. But it has the PM foot on it. So don't confuse this foot with your stitch regulator. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up that little door on the back of your machine and plug your stitch regulator into it. And then you want to get your screwdriver out, and you're going to take, I have my HP foot on here right now. I'm going to take this HP foot off. And if you haven't used the HP foot, I'm going to do another video on that. The HP foot is a great scant 1/4 inch foot. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to put my open toe foot on. So I'm just going to push the button in the back and slide that right up in there. Let go and then pop it into place. And then I'm just going to bring that just like all the other feet. You just bring that right around your screw. And then tighten that screw down on it. I really loosened that screw up. And I didn't know it for a long time, but you don't need to totally take the screws out when you're changing feet. So that's a good thing. Dale, you just type in any questions you might have if you have any, honey. Okay, now I'm going to place this where you can see more of my work area and the needle. Maybe if I come around this way. I think that's kind of sideways. Oh, my cord. Let me get this cord loosened so it'll let me around here a little bit more. I've got an issue with where my cameras are as opposed to where my cords will go. There we go. Okay. So let me get that down like that. I hope that's not too sideways for you guys so you can still see what I'm doing. And another thing I wanted to tell you guys before we do the free motion is on ruler work, and I don't know if you can actually see the color of this. Can you see how this is a little bit yellow of a ruler? And this one is totally clear. Janome recommends that you don't use colored rulers. The lighter colored ones might work, but when your machine sees material moving under the needle, it thinks this is material too. So if it should happen to be one like this, that when you move around, the ruler's going to go under the back, it mistakes this for movement too. So you have to watch with colored rulers. The clear rulers, it doesn't pick up. Okay, so I'm going to get my little sewing piece. Here we go. And I'm going to start off with the palm pads. Alright, so I'm going to put this down here like this. And like I said, start off small. So you do, when you're trying to learn to free motion quilt, you don't want a lot of bulk because you're trying to get used to moving your material, not trying to get used to fighting material and moving material. So start off small so you can get used to just free motion first. Then try to do a bigger quilt where you're already used to doing this, and then you have the bulk to deal with and you can work with that better. Okay, so something I need to show you first. Okay. remember a little bit ago, we pushed this button and I told you that the ASR wasn't highlighted. Now my ASR is highlighted. So that means that my stitch regulator is working. So you want to highlight that if it's not, it was grayed out. Now it's white where I can hit on it. And right there is where I can hit it to kick my stitch regulator in. That lets me know it's working. And then right here we have the foot picture. And if you go to that, that is the height of your foot when you're free motion quilting. And you want that height to be right above your work. So if you've got a very thick piece of batting, if you're using more than one layer, you might want to dial that up a little bit. If your foot is too far above your fabric, you want to dial it down a little bit. So that way your fabric is not hopping up with your needle. And then DFT is default. So if you hit default, it'll take you right back to where it was before, the default for the machine. So that's a really nice thing that Janome has too. But I'm going to dial that down some. And I think that looks about right. And hit OK. Alright, and I'm going to turn this camera around where you can see from both sides. Karen, we're just practicing free motion quilting today. Becky's still no expert either. Let's see if I can get both of these cameras in here at once. Okay. Alright, so remember that underneath this square piece, there is a film with a camera that is watching you move your material. So you want to make sure that you've got material under there. So you don't want to go all the way to the edge of your material unless you have batting and backing behind it that will show the motion. Otherwise, it won't pick the motion up. And let me give you a few other hints. Alright, let's pull this up here. Or, can I pull this over here? Yeah, I can pull this over here. Okay, we have this stop and start button right here. If you want to use the stop and start button, and that is a great way to start out when you're free motion quilting, you need to unplug your foot from your machine. You can't use this if the foot's plugged in. So I'm going to unplug my foot real quick because I want to show you what this actually does. Okay, so when you begin free motion quilting with your stitch regulator, when you hit the start stop button, your needle is going to go up and down once because remember we set it to do so you could pull your bobbin thread up. Oh, and I can't keep this camera up. Why won't that stay up? Because Karen came on. Karen! Let me see. I need something to prop this up with so you can see what I'm doing. Hold on. See if this will work. Will that stay? Yes. Okay, because I want you to see what this needle does when we get started. So, get my scissors here, and I should have held on to that. Doggone it. I am going to hit my needle down and needle up button so I can pull that bobbin thread up. There we go. A little bit more there. So you want to hold on to this and tuck it out of the way once your machine gets started. Alright, so now I'm going to hit that start stop button. Whoop. You guys can't see with my hand in the way, can you? Around this way. And I'm going to zoom out here in a minute. I just want you to see how the machine acts with this first part. Okay, so I'm going to hit this start stop button again. and you'll see how slow that needle's going. So when you move, then it'll speed up. And I'm going to try those L's and E's like we were doing before. And I can use these palm pads to move around. And you'll see that I'm not really perfect with this yet. But I can go really fast. Or I can go really slow. And when you go to stop, that needle almost stops. So you want your speed on your machine to be all the way up. In order for the regulator to work right, your speed has to be all the way up. If you have it partially down, when you move a little bit faster, that regulator can't keep up because you don't have this set right. So you need that up all the way, whether you're using the start-stop button or whether you're using the foot pedal. Now, I'm going to plug the foot pedal in and show you what it does with the foot pedal. Now, the foot pedal is really good if you're doing ruler work because it's really hard to hold on to both the rulers. Wait a minute. This plug back in. Okay. It's really hard to hold on to your ruler and be holding it right up against your foot and trying to push this at the same time. For free motion quilting, you really need your hands right down here all the time. So when doing ruler work, it's a lot easier if you use the foot pedal. But I want to show you, a lot of people they say it's easier to use the start-stop button instead of your foot when you're learning free motion, because when you use the foot pedal, you need to hold your foot all the way down on the pedal. And your speed still needs to be all the way up. And people think their material is going to fly off. Now, I'm going to show you. I'm going to push the foot all the way down. That is all the way down. It goes with the speed that you do your hands. Whatever speed that you are doing is the speed that it's going to go. It has nothing to do with your foot being all the way down on that pedal. Okay? And I'm going to try some of these C's we talked about. Remember I said you do the inside of the C first, then the outside. I'm going to go around here, do the outside. So this C pattern, and like I said, it takes practice. You got to practice. It takes some getting used to. You can do the C's as big or as small as you want. And once you practice with it, you get really good at it. Go around here again. I can go in here. Oh, and I just boxed myself in. So see, there's a learning curve for Becky. So it does take practice to remember what you're doing, to be able to do a good job of it. And don't get frustrated. Rome wasn't built in a day. We didn't start out quilting perfectly. Some of us still aren't quilting perfectly like me. So, don't get frustrated. Just know that it takes a lot of practice, and the more you practice with this, the better you're going to become. And now I'm going to stop this and try to show you some of these stitches. And let me tie off here. And these palm pads are okay, especially if you're doing small areas. I'm still getting used to picking my hand up. I tend to get real close, forgetting that I can pick my hand up with these, but it's a lot easier than trying to hold on to the material because I tend to make it pucker in the middle when I'm trying to move it around. But with these, you kind of push outward and move your material, and it just seems so much easier. Okay, so let me show you my stitches. I hope you can see them on here. So most of the stitches look pretty good, but if you look right here, I kind of jerked going up. So these stitches are bigger. It's not because the regulator's not working, it's because of the way I was moving the material. I was kind of jerking it. So all in all, the stitches don't look too bad at all. My crazy way of free motioning looks kind of crazy, but it doesn't look too bad. Let's see. Sophie under the couch cover. Oh, Karen, you're fine. It is a lot of fun. When free motion quilt, it's good to have some type of hand grips. Yes, yes. A lot of people like the gloves. For some reason, I'm not good with gloves, and I really like it because see how well this, with one finger, see how well that grips the material? And that's just one finger, and I'm not pushing down real hard. So I really like these palms. Okay, so lots of practice. Let me turn this back around. Lots of practice, and try not to get confused with the different ways of quilting on the CM17. I know Dale was one of the ones that had called me. Let me get this set up right. Oh, Dale was one of the ones that had called me. This machine is major. It does everything but make the coffee. I've told a lot of you that. It gets confusing. Take notes. Most definitely take notes. Whether you're watching me, whether you're watching another video. Dale, you can go back and watch it again. It's no problem. Don't worry about it. It'll be on here. There will be an even better video coming out on YouTube that's step by step. But you can go back and watch this video, Dale, and it'll show you where to go and what to do for the free motion quilting. There is the stitch regulator, not the stitch regulators, the dual feed feet that do stitch in the ditch, and they do straight stitch, like if you're wanting to do cross hatch. There are the free motion feet that we just went over today in the stitch regulator. There is the AccuFill and the feet for it. There is the embroidery stitches that quilt and the feet for it. So it is a whole lot, but you are going to learn how to do all this, and you are going to do great because you can do ruler work, you can do free motion. The machine will do it for you 2 different ways. So it's just a lot to take in all at once, and when you're trying to learn, it's better to like work on something for like a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then move on to something else. And I have found, when trying to learn this stuff for you all, I have found that it helps me if every time I come back to it, I hook it up again. Like with the stitch regulator, if I'm going to be working on quilts for a week, I am still going to take that regulator off and put it back on and make sure I refer to my notes. You want the single stitch plate when you're doing free motion quilting, unless you're doing the zigzag quilting. Then you want the zigzag plate on. So remember that. But the more you do something, the more it becomes ingrained in your brain. Just like the doodling for doing the free motion quilting. The more you doodle a design, even if you're going over, and I'm going to show you this. Even if you're going over a design. Oh, I don't know what I did with my folder now. Karen, I lost my folder. If you have a pre-printed design that you can go over and over and over as many times as you want with a pen, with a pencil, with a highlighter, it puts it in your brain. It gets your fingers used to making that motion. Then it's easier to make your hands make that motion. That is one thing I've picked up from thousands of videos. Tell you, the more you do something, the easier it is to repeat. So try doodling. If you're sitting around watching TV, you're not at your machine, doodle a design and keep doing that design. Try drawing a square like I did for What did I do with it? Like I did for that design I was showing you, I've already lost it. I swear I can lose something sitting in one place. I don't know how it happens. Oh, here it is. It is better if you draw a square, like I did here, and doodle that design all over that square. Get close to the edges. That way it teaches you how to not lead yourself into a box. And the girl last night, even with pebbles and figure eights, she was showing us that the more you do it in a little box and do that design around, the more your mind is thinking about that design, and it gets used to not getting yourself in a box. If you're doing the meander, a lot of people will box themselves in with the meander. And the more you draw that box and doodle with it, the less you'll box yourself in when you're on your machine. Yes, absolutely, Karen. That's a good idea. Yeah. Dale, do you have any other questions for me? Now, I will be doing other videos on the AccuFeed. We're going to be doing videos on the AccuFill. We're going to be doing videos on the ruler work. The ruler work, all you really have to do is, instead of going to, oh yeah, you can still do it with, let me turn this around here. And I do have rulers for sale here at the shop too from Janome. If you're wanting to get into ruler work, instead of hitting on the free motion tab, you hit on the ruler work tab. And you pick if you've got light fabric. And Dale, when you were saying you wasn't going to put any batting in, I would pick this light right here. And then you've got the medium. And that just makes the tension a little bit higher. And of course, down here at the bottom, you can set your tension right here where it has the 4.6 and it shows the tension in between. You can set your foot height and you can set your stitch length. And if you look at these stitches right here, I'm going to adjust the stitch length. See how those stitches are getting bigger? That'll show you exactly how big your stitches will be. And if you are doing circles, you want smaller stitches. For straighter lines, it's okay to have large stitches, but I would take it down to about a 1.3 for doing circular. Maybe a 1.4, but 1.3 is pretty good. For doing circles like this here, if you're doing ovals, the smaller your stitches, the easier it is for that needle to get around, because if you're doing large straight stitches, it's going to come out like an octagon. You want the smaller stitches. And I think I have covered everything with the free motion on the CM17. And Connie, if you're on here, your M8 is just like it. You've got the same, you might not have the same, I'll have to go on there. You might not have the same setup on the computer. I think it's very similar. It just doesn't have the embroidery component, the 3 to pick from, but it still has the free motion and the ruler work in the little heart with the feathers beside of its settings. But I will go on, and when I do the YouTube video, I will address that and make sure I'm sending you to the right place too. Yes, just watch it, Dale. Anybody can watch this. Anybody that has any questions, let me know. If you're looking into the CM17 or the M8 or any other Janome machine, we do still have the machines on sale. They are letting us carry it through October. I'm so happy. We have put 11 people in CM17s and 5 in the M8s. So come down, check out these machines. They are wonderful. And the CM17, let me show you real quick. Oh. I just knocked the box down on my camera. The CM17, if you're looking for a machine that does everything, and I mean everything, here is the biggest tube. Can I get it in the camera space? This is the biggest hoop. I can fit this hoop down over my body, all the way down, stomach and all. It is the biggest hoop I've ever seen. I love it. And I'm going to do a great big Christmas tree wall hanging with it so you guys can see it too. But it does embroidery. It does free motion quilting. It has a stitch regulator. It does quilting in the hoop. It does everything. So if you, and Christmas is coming up. So if you're wanting one for Christmas, tell your loved ones, come to Living the Dream. I have got a huge deal. The CM17s are on sale for $13,000, down from $20,000. The M8s are $2,000 off, normally $10,000. They're on sale for $8,000. All of our machines, we have an embroidery only machine. We have 8 other machines in the shop, including the Air Thread Pro we have here, which is a, I can't think, it's not a cover stitcher. My God, I'm losing my mind. A serger. Thank you, God. A serger. We have a serger on sale. So if you're in the market for a machine for Christmas or just for you, come on down, check out these machines. I will be doing more videos on the CM17 and all the other machines. So when I get the YouTube channel videos up and going, make sure you like Living the Dream Quilting on YouTube. That will let you know we're putting more up. I will be doing some also on Living the Dream with my CM17, so you can check it out there. But thank you all for watching. And like I said, if you have any questions, call the shop or just message me. Dale, you know you can message me. But I think it was a lot easier for you to be able to see what I was doing rather than me talking to you over the phone. All right, love and hugs, everybody. I will see you later. I'm going to the dungeon to work on a beautiful quilt. Have a good day.